Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the WildStar podcast, The Settler's Path. I am Dashivah. And with me, for the first time ever, on a cast, showing her face, Rathia. How you doing, Rathia?
Hey! Hi, everyone.
How are you?
Hi!
Wendell, I'm not talking to you. No.
Oh, sorry.
So, Rathia, how are you?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Thanks for inviting me on.
Okay, and who are you?
I am the Exile Recruiting Officer for WildStar in Grievance.
Okay. The exiles. And then with me, Wendell. You could say hi
Yep.
now, Wendell.
Yeah, I get to say hello now. Hi, guys. I am a casual player.
He's very casual.
Yes, I'm very casual.
He'll have the
Gotcha.
casual side of the conversation going for us.
Exactly. Lean back.
And then the not so casual Sam I am. How are you?
Hey, good.
Good. Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for everyone that's watching the chat. If you have any questions, talk with us, chat with us. We'd love to hear from you. But anyways, for this week, or we haven't been on in about a month. Had some things that I had to take care of last week, or 2 weeks ago. But how long has Sabotage been out now? 2 weeks?
Didn't it pop last weekend?
Yes.
Last week?
Last week.
Last
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Yes, last week. How has the patch been?
I actually really have enjoyed the patch basically because they gave me my impaled. I can hit more than one target now. So my DPS has kind of greatly increased there.
Very nice. How's it been for the guild?
Well, the patch actually caused some shakeup. They introduced some pretty radical PvP changes in the way PvP power and PvP defense work, as well as kind of affecting the way healers healed in PvP. So the guild has had some shakeups from the PvP folks. They've been a little dissatisfied with the way the patch went. So.
Okay. Just the healers?
But well, no, actually, now people in the past. Now again, I'm not a full-time PvPer, but in the past, the way PvP power and PvP defense worked is you could essentially get away with only wearing 2 or 3 pieces of PvP gear, and then wearing the rest of drops. Now you have to wear more, so it's affecting a lot more than just. A lot more than just their ability to do damage or take damage. It's kind of affecting all of their stats overall. So it was a difference.
Okay. So a little bit of a shakeup. But we have some patch notes that we're going to go over. But first of all, what have you guys been doing for the past month in WildStar? Rathia.
Well, what I've been doing basically is just attunement things. So we've been running lots and lots of adventures, dungeons, helping out the guild, getting them where they need to be, where they want to be right now, and just kind of challenging ourselves with some of those dungeons. Because right now it's a big challenge. The learning curve from adventures to dungeons is very sharp.
Yeah.
So you can go ahead and get into an adventure, do it in a half an hour, and you're good. You go into a dungeon and you're sitting there all night for 3 hours. So it's very challenging once you get to that point, and that's where a lot of us are at right now.
Yeah. I know, that's the thing I noticed too, is like it seems like such a sharp, like you said, change. It's like, okay, adventures, like you can mess up a little or a lot or whatever, and you just kind of go in there. You don't have to be so well geared. And then you're supposed to make the jump to dungeons. And it's not so fun. Sam?
Right.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just going to agree with you that it's not that it's not so fun. It's just like this is one of the most challenging games I've played in a very long time, and I'm a long time MMO player. So I think that when you're used to kind of getting into a groove where you don't have to challenge yourself, or that you're used to content kind of being a little softer, then this is a very big learning curve for a lot of people.
Okay, yeah. And so, Sam, I assume you're doing the same thing? Adventures, dungeons. Oh, I lost him.
Ah.
Ah,
It happens.
Yeah.
I was like, man, he is super still. I was like. So, anyways, yes. But the patch notes. First thing we're going to talk about is dungeon bosses now drop rare amps. How nice of a change is this for everybody? Or for stalkers?
Well, for everyone, it's really nice. There's one particular amp I know that everybody has been, it's ridiculously priced and it's almost needed. And it's called Trigger Fingers. And so now, because each dungeon boss drops a rare amp, then that price is going to go down way low. And then even some of our guildies that haven't been able to afford it is now going to be able to get that amp.
See if I can get Sam back here.
Poor Sam, no.
He left us. He left us. I feel like there should be a T-Rex coming by.
Really?
Just saying.
You feel like there should be It's okay. Maybe.
There should always be a T-Rex coming by.
Yes. Random, but did you see that picture of what's the guy's name? He was in the original Jurassic Park, but they did a wedding and then their wedding pictures included all these dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And they were
I
running
did
away.
see that.
And they were running away from the T-Rex and stuff. Okay, so maybe we'll get Sam back, but the rare amps, that's an awesome thing, right? Because almost there, oh, there he is.
Is he making it back?
Is he?
Is he making a comeback?
Oh, I don't know.
This is going to be the most exciting thing to happen.
Are we
during
resident?
our whole cast.
Should we all right click him so we can res him? Sam, can we
Am I back?
We can hear you at least.
Okay, good.
We can just call you Mr. Pinwheel or something like.
You sound great. I just want to say
the
that.
Chupacabra.
You sound great.
Mr. Loading Window. We can call you
Yes.
Mr. Loading Window. Yes. I'll have to put a picture in for Sam then. But you can still hear us though, Sam, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Well, let's see. What can we... Here we go. I found a picture for Sam. Here we go. This can be Sam. There we go. All right. Oops. There we go. That will be Sam for today. So anyways, Sam, we were just talking about how dungeon bosses now drop rare amps.
Thank you. Thank you for the whatever that is.
Looks like a pink bunny.
Yeah, it's an Orin
Ah.
with the little veggie.
With a little carrot.
Yeah, that's from why can't I think of her name? Who was your old recruiting officer?
Ionia?
Naonia. Totally. Sorry, Naonia. But yeah, that's one of Naonia's creations. But anyways, rare amps, but now changes to bosses in dungeons. What does this mean for us, Sam? Or is he trying to figure out his computer?
I was trying, but yeah, I'll stop now.
Okay.
So, the majority of the changes they made, and honestly, this is kind of a big, I don't know how to put this, stink with the community, because there weren't a lot of changes to the way the boss's mechanics work. What the changes were to is cheesing, for lack of a better word, cheesing out the mechanics. And some examples are, in the first dungeon that normally the Exile side does, Storm Talon's Lair, in Veteran mode, and probably even in normal, if you used one of your CC break abilities right as he disarmed you and then threw all of your interrupts, you could actually stun him out of his next phase. So instead of transitioning to the next, he actually has it's a 3-phase fight. You would actually keep him in phase 1. So he'd never transition to phase 2 and then consequently to phase 3, making the fight significantly easier because phase 3 is arguably the looks like I'm back. I can actually see you guys now.
You've moved.
So phase 3 is arguably the hardest phase in that fight, and what they did was they made it so you couldn't cheese it out. So now you have to go through all 3 phases. So up until this point, people have been, against my warning them, have been using the cheesing method to get through that boss.
Oh,
And
there you are.
now they're finding out that it's not quite so easy. They also did the same thing to the second boss in Kel'Varath, which is the second dungeon most people go into. There used to be a ledge. I don't know if any of folks that are running with me are on there, but you used to call it the safety ledge, where you could jump on there and avoid the mechanics during the appropriately named chase phase, where you've got little robots chasing you around and they put a dot on somebody. Well, you could cheese that whole phase out. And possibly the largest example of this is the last boss in Skullcano. And the last boss in Skullcano, you used to be able to jump on this little ledge and cheese the entire fight out. The boss would stand right in front of you. He wouldn't use any of his mechanics. You wouldn't get hit by anything, and you'd just pound him down. As long as you interrupted a couple of things, you'd have no problem doing it. Now, as the last 2 hours are evidence of, I've just spent the last 2 hours in Skullcano, and that last boss, let me tell you what, if you don't use that method, he's tough. So they didn't really make any changes to the mechanics. What they did was they took out all of the cheesing ways, the for lack of a better term, the exploits that people were using to get past them.
Yeah. So they just pretty much made it how it should have been, rather than
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, also preparing people for later on down the road where, they're not going to be able to exploit their way past some of the bigger bosses. Because, all these 3 dungeons are supposed to be training. They're supposed to be learning to handle the, going farther along, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, and if you learn a mechanic in one dungeon, then that's going to lead you to the mechanics of other dungeons, because a lot of the mechanics in each dungeon are the same. So if you learn one, it'll carry over to another generally.
Okay.
Yeah.
So has this affected the guild's progress or your guys' progress?
Actually, no. Honestly, our attunement process, I'm going to go ahead and plug my 2 nights now. By the way, we run attunement nights twice a week now, Mondays and Saturdays. And we'll soon be adding a 3rd day because it's that popular. I mean, I've got between 40 and 60 people showing up each of those nights to work specifically on their attunement progress. And we are literally just now, last Monday night, we had 2 people in there for adventures. Everybody else, the other 45 people were there just to run dungeons.
Wow.
So we're now at the point where the majority of our guild is on the dungeon attunement phase, and the majority of them are just now dipping their toes into Veteran Storm Talent. So the KV changes, and especially the Skullcano changes, they're not going to really know any difference. They're going to go in knowing that they can't cheese it, they have to learn it. So I don't think it's really going to be affecting our progress. If anything, it's going to make the Raiders better when they finally get through it.
Cool beans. All right. So then another point that was written here was that warriors got a buff, but it means they can hold threat better.
Yeah, so one of the things on the patch notes for today is a lot of people think that warriors got this extremely big buff, but what it really means is now that they can basically be the tank that they need to be. So I know I heard a lot of different things about that, but it's just buffing them for tanking ability only.
Okay. So they're not doing more DPS or anything, but they could just be a tank now rather than...
Well, I actually play a warrior tank. So the changes, this is the first round of tank changes that the warrior is going to see. This round of changes was very minor. In the past, what happens is basically an equally equipped and capable engineer almost doubles my threat generation on a consistent basis. A stalker will 75% more than me, almost as much as the engineer. My DPS pull maybe 5,000 TPS threat per second less than I do, which isn't very much. So they catch me. They catch me on a routine basis, and I have to, use different abilities to catch up. What they did is they basically boosted the percentage of threat I generate on certain abilities. For instance, they upped Atomic Spear from 150% to 200%. They buffed my other 2 abilities from 135 to 150. Not a huge change. It'll help in the short term, but then in the September drop, which is the Defile, this is the one with the new raid content, and the new dungeon. Yay! We'll talk about that
new
later
raid
on.
content, even though we haven't gotten to the.
We'll talk about that later, but
Yeah.
essentially, so what in the big patch, they're actually reworking a bunch of our abilities. So this was the Band-Aid they applied to Warrior Threat to keep us quiet, really.
Okay, just to appease you for the time being.
Pretty much.
Very nice. Okay, it's better than nothing, though, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad they finally.
That's the cheap way of saying it.
Right. Yeah, they finally did something. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, dungeon progression. This seems to be what, like you said, what 90% of everyone's on now, or 40 out of 45 people were on your last night that you had it. So gear, runing, maximizing DPS. That's the only part I haven't even gotten to the dungeons yet, veteran dungeons. But the jump from adventures to dungeons, as far as gear and runing, how big is that jump?
It's huge. See, I will like to point out here that Rathia made that the talking points was not me, so I didn't leave Wendell out of the conversation.
It's okay.
I'm just saying, Wendell's not getting to talk a lot.
Yeah, I know. I asked Wendell that. I was like, Wendell, this is a lot of stuff that you're not going to talk about.
Hey, people are free to make changes.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's all right. It's one of those issues with being the casual player and haven't just been able to qualify to go into Storm Talent and stuff like that. It's you guys have a lot more to talk about than I do.
Yeah. To answer your question, the short answer is absolutely. The gear difference is huge. We actually have a guild member who reached out to me yesterday, asking about tank gear, and she was like, hey, am I good to go to tank? And I asked a simple question: as a tank, how much effective health do you have? About 28k. That's great for adventures. You will last 1.5 seconds in a dungeon. Healer will not be able to keep you alive. Yeah. You need about twice that much. I run just over 43,000 health. Some of our better tanks, or by better I mean more geared, like Azadex, he runs 45, 46k health. So the difference is severe, and it's not just the gear, because I actually looked at all of her gear, went through piece by piece. The gear is good if she didn't have any runes in her slots. Once you start runing up, now she's up to, I want to say, 33,000. So she's actually gone up 3,000 just by putting runes in half of her rune slots. That's how important they are. So the gear requirements and the gear checks are big.
Yeah. Now, how hard is it to get to that? Because you can get decent gear, right? How hard is it to get all the runes and stuff that you need?
It's actually very easy. Well, right, yeah. As a stalker tank, you need a little bit less health because you regenerate all your health, as Dan is saying in the chat. They're different tanks, but she's specifically a warrior tank. I'm a warrior tank. We need more effective health. The gear is real easy to get. You can get it from drops. You can get it from your local crafter, which is actually the better way to do it, at least starting out. And then the runes, you have pretty much everything that you need. Anything you don't have is relatively cheap on the commodity exchange for base runes like health, grit, brutality. The pieces are really cheap. You're not talking about dropping a plat per rune. You're talking about dropping 5, 10, maybe 15 gold to buy everything. So the base runes are really easy to get. Now the set runes, on the other hand, that's where you start to get expensive. But those aren't necessary to start. To go into a dungeon, you don't need 12 of 12 of your DPS set or 12 of 12 of your tanking set. You really don't. If you have good runes in all your slots, you'll be fine. You really will.
Okay. So basically, it's what you would say mostly just blue items to get into dungeons and then rune it all up?
Yeah, basically that's the idea, is that you need to have level 50 blues, and then you have to have them runed. And then, going on our next point, like in Storm Talent, you need at least 2k DPS per person, and then nobody can die. So if you have a DPS die, at the end of that fight, you're going to wipe anyway because it goes into an enrage. So when you're looking at how much your DPS you're pulling, in order to be able to go into a dungeon, then the runing will help you boost your DPS so that you can actually make it to the end of that dungeon. We had a one of our guildies go in there, and she was only pulling 1k DPS. Now, that would be okay if there's another person that's offsetting that, but then at the end, Storm Talon's going to be really difficult in order to get him down.
Yeah. So when you say that you need to, go ahead.
Let me touch on that point because, and I want to explain something. Because some people hearing this are going to be like, oh wow, they're doing DPS checks. I got to get meters, all that stuff. It's not that. We don't use meters. As a matter of fact, if I see anybody link a meter in a chat, you're going to be in a lot. I mean, you're borderline. I'm going to kick you right out of the guild, and then I'm going to have to apologize to Soul. They're not used, right?
Yeah.
Here's how it works. It's called the law of the process. Now, everybody who knows me knows that I'm a martial arts instructor for a living. That's what I do. We have something called the law of the process, where a kid walks into the dojo and he can't throw a punch, can't throw a kick. That's fine, right? A year later, he throws a kick and a punch. It's called the law of the process. You learn as you go. So with Storm Talon specifically, when we say you have to get 2,000 DPS, and you're like, wow, that looks easy. I mean, I pull 6K on a target dummy. You have to learn the fight. It's a law of the process. It's called time on target. So you might have a DPS who's got gear out the wazoo. He pulls, like Wonton Bear pulls like 12,000 DPS on the dummy.
Yeah. But that's on a dummy when you're just standing there exactly. Focused on exactly what you need to press in what order and everything.
Exactly. Now with Storm Talon, you have to learn time on target, how to get your attacks onto the target reliably. It's all about repetition. It's all about practice. So you might have the best gear in the world. I'm going to go ahead and tell you an anecdotal story from my first Storm Talon veteran run. I pulled 800 DPS. That's it. No, just 3 numbers, not 8,000. 800 DPS. And I consider myself, I'm the raid leader. I'm a good player. I'm like, 800? What happened there? And then the next time I pulled 1,500. Then the next time I pulled 2K. Now I'm pulling 3,200, 3,200 to 4K. Because I've learned. I've the law of the process, the repetitions. I've been in that dungeon 100 times, 150 times. So I've got the law of the process down. So when we say, again, I pulled myself off the floor. When we say you need to be pulling 2K DPS, each of the DPSers, that's not a hard and fast rule. That's a general gauge. If you're able to pull 2,000 DPS on the Storm Talon fight, you guys will have a good chance of downing him.
Yeah, and the thing is just don't be afraid to get in there and learn it, because we have had some people say, okay, well, I can't do that, or it's too hard, or whatever. Well, just get in there and learn. There's basic mechanics in every dungeon, like I was talking about before. And, we had a group earlier last night said, hey, do you want to go in this dungeon? I've never been in there before. They were just going to learn it. And I said, yeah, because I want to be able to go wherever it is and be able to try and learn it. And that's part of the fun of the game, is just getting there and doing it. So don't be afraid to get in there and try it, because I know there are some people who feel that they're not on par yet.
Yeah, but how else are you going to get on par unless you're trying it, right? You're not going to learn how to do any of that in the adventures or anything, because there's nothing even close to like a boss fight in any of the dungeon or any of the adventures.
No, there are, and the adventures are a good training ground.
Well, it teaches you minor things like stay out of this or that, but as far as the first boss in Storm Talon or something, it's you're not going to see anything like that until you get to that first boss. So yes, but what's next? PvP?
I think PvP.
Yes, Sam, you're like, I don't want to talk about PvP. PvP. Nerfed healers in PvP. Everyone's been saying you got to play a medic. Did they nerf the medics?
No, what they did was they nerfed PvP power. in the old days, a week ago,
the old,
you know,
the newest game out in the olden
right.
days.
Yeah.
You know, back in my day, you had support power and you had assault power, and then you had PvP power, right? PvP power didn't help healers at all. It was just the damage stat. So you combined your assault power and your PvP power, and you did some damage. Now PvP power takes the place of support power for healers essentially in PvP. Man, I wish I would have been prepared for this. I don't have exactly the numbers, but it's a big hit.
Well, yeah, because you
Yeah.
used to just be able to go in with your support power, right? And then that would translate to what you're healing or what you're doing as a healer. And now is that pretty much your support power does nothing in?
It still does, but combined with the fact that you have to wear more PvP gear to get the PvP defense, so you don't get obliterated in 0.5 seconds, you don't have any support power on that gear. That gear has very limited support and assault power.
Okay.
According to the patch notes, PvP power was supposed to work as both. Well, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
For healers, I mean, they're one of our heavy PvPers. She ran a healer. She actually stopped PvPing. She's like, I'm not PvPing again until they fix this, because she can't heal anymore, like at all. So.
But isn't that what we were waiting for this patch for? Is everyone's like, oh, I don't
Yeah.
want to PvP until the new patch comes out where they're going to focus on PvP, and now.
Yeah, their
Well-
Q18 kind of blew it.
They focus, but focus the wrong way.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Rathia.
Well, I was just going to say that everybody really, really enjoys that new sabotage map. And then that patch where they introduced it was when they nerfed the healing for the PvP. I was talking to Fane about it today, and she said that this patch, the past day, they try to kind of make it up and bandage it a little bit by giving the rune slots some randomized it's giving healers some randomized rune slots for their gadgets. But she still says that, it's going to take a little bit more time for them to actually fix what they broke with Sabotage. And it's kind of sad because Sabotage is really fun. It's a really fun PvP map. It's just when you break healers like that, it does kind of get discouraging for those who are regular PvPers.
Yeah. Because you want to get into it, but it's like, if things are broken, how fun is that even though the map's fun, or even though it's like a boss being broken, right? Being bugged, even though like no matter how fun the boss fight was, if it bugs every single time, then you're just going to get discouraged from doing it.
Yeah.
But what makes the new map fun? So once it gets fixed, why is Sabotage so fun?
Bombs? Why else?
That's all I've been hearing is bombs. Everyone's just like bombs.
They just kill everybody. Boom.
Okay,
Boom.
Wendell, what do you think about bombs as a Chua?
I like bombs.
Okay, thanks for your input, Wendell.
Thank you. So I do have a question, if I can pop in here, and I am the newer guy because obviously I'm only so many levels up. Why is there special stats for PvP? Why is there PvP power specifically? Why is there specific PvP power?
It's a question for the ages. We actually had an interesting conversation earlier. I've been a hardcore. I've been a heavy raider since EQ1, right? All I've done is raids, and all along, PvP games who try to mix PvP and PvE always wind up balancing my PvE based on your PvP, and they always get their chocolate and my peanut butter, and they mess things up. This game is no different. They started balancing PvP by making some very broad, sweeping PvE changes. Warrior nerf. They really retooled a lot of the Warrior small, limited tool set based on PvP problems. I would like to note, though, that for once in a game, PvE has affected PvP, because now PvP gear has random rune slots just like my PvE gear. So take that, PvPers. You now have a double RNG just like me. But to more directly answer the question, what they're trying to do is make it so that a PvPer doesn't want a PvE for the most part. The majority of them, they don't want to go to a raid. They don't want to go to a dungeon. They want a PvP. They want to kill other people. However, in the games that don't have a PvP stat, you'll find more often than not that the PvE gear becomes what people need for PvP. You could take WoW as a perfect example. Early on in WoW's career, your raiders were just obliterating in PvP matches because they had all the best gear. And that's kind of when they separated it and made a PvP specific set. So you had a similar problem here in WildStar. It actually went the other direction. The PvP gear, the sword, for instance, the warrior sword and many of the weapons were the best in slot for PvE. So they kind of changed a bunch of that. And they're now using the PvP power and defense stats to try to keep raiders from, winning in PvP. Because in order to win PvP, you should be doing PvP. And that's every game's mentality.
All right.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm not a big PvPer, even though I'd like to do it, but I don't know. It's just with WildStar, as soon as it launched, it just seems like everything was broken, and so it was always hard for me to want to get in there and try. Besides me doing it at level 20, but as far as in the future for PvP, is there hope?
I would say so. Absolutely. They just need, and again, right now they need to pick a direction, right? The Carbine devs really need to decide where they want to go with itemization. They need to pick a path. They need to get to that path quickly. We are already 3 months into the game. It's going to be another 3 months before the itemization changes come. It's going to be half a year before these itemization changes hit, and they're going to be big. They're totally retooling the way assault power works for PvE people. They're making a lot of broad changes. Any change they make to either side, PvP or PvE, is going to affect the other one.
Yeah.
So there is hope, and they are. I think they're finally in a position where they're really starting to take a look at some of these things. The problem is it's going to hurt when it hits. So we're all going to have to be prepared for that pain when these patches hit, as all of our gear changes. Or like, oh goodness, what do I need now for PvP? What do I need now for PvE? It's going to be radically different. And they need to fix these bugs. There are some bugs that they need to fix in both PvP and PvE, which they're getting over time. Like, for instance, I can't leap into the starting zone in Sabotage anymore and kill people at their spawn point. I could do that day one. I was able as a warrior to leap into the spawn point and just kill them. I can't do that anymore. So they are fixing. I know. Dang it.
Sam's like, that's why I don't PvP anymore.
It was actually an accident. The first time I did it was a complete accident. And I didn't do it again because, again, I didn't want to get.
Yeah, you don't want to be exploiting the.
You don't want to be that guy.
I didn't even know I had done
that
it.
Guy.
I used my charge and my leap, and all of a sudden I'm standing next to the graveyard. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and I mean, realistically, I got killed real fast because I am not a great PvPer. But they are fixing the bugs, and they are getting to them. It's taken a bit of time, and the other half of that, I'm not a griefer. The other part of that is it has only been a short amount of time.
I know we're talking about a game. We're talking about in game and a game that's been out 2 months.
Right, and those of us who have been, I think everybody here has been through launches of multiple other games. This one went smooth, and they are fixing things. We just wish they were a little bit snappier.
Yeah, I think we're used to like games that, have been around for a while and have ironed out some of the bugs and some of the things that we're used to having been, be ironed out by now. And, when we really look at it, it's only been out for like 2 months. So it doesn't have the longevity of a game that has been able to fix their bugs slowly as they go for a little while yet. All in all, I think they've done a really good job. And some of the stuff we're seeing, some of it is a little major, but at the same time, it doesn't destroy, like, it's not a broken piece of game. It's not a broken game.
No, not by any means. And you think of just how much they have at the end game and how much they're all doing 2 months after launch for a brand new game, and you compare that to any game that's out right now, it's like there is tons of stuff to do still.
and I will say, the way they gated the content was genius. I mean, they've kept us out, because if they didn't gate the content like that, we'd be done with it. Even Grievance, even the speed that Grievance moves, we'd be done with it already. They gated it really well. They made it so that, the people who are really, really hardcore, the Enigmas and the
1%.
Yeah, the 1%. They blew through the content. They're almost done with it.
But the fact that they're not, right? The fact
exactly,
that
and that was my next point. They're not done with it, though. They're almost done with it, and about the time they finish it, the new raid will be out. Yeah. So
because a lot of the hardcore guilds, they've been in there since like week 2, right? Like
week 1.
Or
week 2, right? Yeah. Got their key week 2. They got 50 week 1, got their key week 2, and they were in there by the end of week 2.
Yeah. And so the fact that they haven't finished it kind of holds up to how hardcore they were saying their raids are going to be.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with that. And the content. I mean, we've had 2 content patches. What other new game? I honestly can't think of one off the top of my head that 2 months in has already had 2 major content drops. Even if I personally don't like the content, because again, I'm a raider. That's what I do, dungeons and raids.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily appreciate the PvE content of the first drop and the PvP content of the second drop, but there's been 2 major content patches. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done really good in my opinion.
Well, as FaZe is saying, so is it true no one has downed the first 40-man?
Not that I know of, no.
Well, I muted myself. Yes, that's correct. They haven't gotten him down yet. They are in there, though.
Okay.
I think I have to go back to Enigma's boards, but they were having some problems. It's a gate. It's an attunement process. So yeah, it's great to have.
So it's almost like that jump from Adventures to Dungeons, 20-mans to 40-man is it that big of a jump again?
No. It's more. You have to have 2 20-man teams who get attuned. The attunement process doesn't stop, by the way, when you get into the 20-man. Once you get into the 20-man, you then have to kill everything, and you have to re-attune your key for the datascape, which requires things from previous. You have to go back to Adventures and Dungeons, basically, because now what you're looking for are primal patterns, and you need a significant number of them for each person. So, yeah, and what FaZe is saying is correct. They're having some issues, not just with the attunement, but also with some of the bugs that are happening in the bosses. But again, these are stuff that didn't get tested super heavily in beta.
Yeah. Like, how do you, out of all things in the game that's going to get tested, the 40-man raids is going to get tested the least until you get these thousands of people that are trying to go at it now.
No.
Okay. Wendell?
So would we agree then that, especially, are they keeping to their word? Are they keeping to their promise to keep the content coming, keeping it lively, and keeping it exciting?
Oh yeah, I think 100%. I'd have to say yes. I can't tell you. In a previous game I played, they would hint for months. Oh, this is new content coming. This is new content coming. We're 2 months in, and like Sam said, we have a whole new 2 major content drops. And so I think, yeah, it is fun and exciting. And I want to make a point. We talked a lot about, like the PvP and in-game content, but, Grievance as a whole, we really believe in having everybody in our community be able to play with us and have fun. And so even though a lot of us are in the in-game content, I know on the Exile side, I'm the recruiter. So we've set up a fun night where everybody can join in. You can come have fun. If you're a level 12, we had a level 12 last week join in our happy fun night, and she had a blast. So, and we just do fun things like last week we
Wendell's
raided
got a big
the
old
minion.
smile. What?
I know.
Me too.
So people who aren't as high, like Wendell, can come join in, and they're having just a blast, just experiencing what Grievance is all about, and enjoying the content and having fun. So yeah, even though like I'm a raider at heart, Sam's a raider at heart, we still have that value there. So if you haven't applied for Grievance yet and you're listening, please apply and come experience what we're all about, because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you can click the link below in the Twitch channel if you are thinking, or you need a guild for WildStar or any guild for any game, basically. Click the link, apply, see if we're the right guild for you.
Hello Kitty.
Hello Kitty, yes. That's why Window's only level 20. He's been distracted.
I know.
Hello Kitty. Okay, so I have a question. Going back a little bit to the dungeons real quick. If you are like Wendell and say you're coming upon 50 very soon, right, Wendell?
Oh yes, like 2 weeks. 2 weeks I'll be there.
And besides getting your key, like once you get your key, because you just have to go through that process of getting your key, doing your dailies and stuff. Once you get your key and you get to the adventure parts, what's the easiest way to start getting geared?
Crafting.
Crafting?
I'm gonna say it again. Crafting. Honestly, right now, crafting is honestly the best way. I'll go 1 second. Twitcher asked a question: is PvP still challenging, or are things mostly a pushover? But now that people have adjusted, I'm going to tell you right now, things are not a pushover. I consider myself a good player, and I often, I'll pull everybody. Like I'll just say in the channel, hey, anybody want to run a dungeon? But then sometimes there's only a handful of people on, so I'm running, with maybe the same 10 people, and we've silvered a dungeon. We've silvered it. I mean, I've silvered Storm Talon 7 times, right? I've been in there 150. Keep in mind, I've been in there at least 150 times. I'd have to count. I have a little tick marker next to my computer, but I'm upstairs right now. And I've only silvered it 7 times. And I can go in there with people who have also silvered it, and we still bomb a run. We're like, what? We all know the fights. What happened? You just have bad luck. You're like, somebody missteps. Somebody does something wrong. You lose focus for a second. So, no, Twitcher, the things aren't pushover. Adventures are. I will tell you that. Adventures are pretty much pushover now.
I was actually surprised. Like, even when the game first launched, I was actually surprised at how easy. Because I was like a week behind our guild at getting level 50. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, I'm level 50. What do I do now? And they're like, come do an adventure. I was like, I just have quest gear. And they're like, oh, come do an adventure. And all of a sudden I do all 4. Get silver on them, or get gold, or I got my purple resonators or whatever. It's like, okay, is this? I thought it was gonna be harder. Like I was thinking of how hard dungeons were, even just the regular ones when you're like level 20 and stuff. And so that's why I was expecting adventures, but it was kind of easy to get into.
Back to the gearing discussion, crafting. I'm telling you right now, I have heard this, and if I hear this again, I'm gonna drive to your house. I'm going to park outside, me and 3 of my buddies, and we're going to yodel to you all night long.
They're all scared there.
You said yodel? Oh.
I don't want to bother the crafters. I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to be a bother. You know what? These crafters didn't spend 3 months learning how to craft this gear for themselves. They did it so that they could help other people. Now, there are other people in other guilds, which shall not be named, that are not Grievance, the Grievance family, what we've got. Grievance is such a great organization. Use it. You're a member of Grievance. There is somebody online. See, Dan, I'm driving to his house right now. I'm going to get on the phone. Everybody who crafts will help you. If you don't know what you need, ask. Ask some of the more veteran people. Ask an officer. Say, hey, what kind of stuff do I need? How much do I need? We'll tell you what to buy. Go buy 50 hybrid power cores. Send them all to the crafter with your material of choice, whether it's cloth, leather, or metal, and have them make 50 pieces of the same gear. You take the best one out of it, you go rune it up, you're good to go. And then you sell the rest. Or you give it back to them. That's what I normally do. Like if I have a crafter who makes me something and I'll give them, they'll make 20 or 30 of the same piece for me because, again, the double RNG on rune slots. And I'll just usually give them back the failures and say, you go ahead and salvage them or sell them, whatever you want to do with them. But again, the crafters are there. You're part of Grievance. Grievance is a family organization. Ask, talk to people, say, hey, I need some gear. And when people actually say that, we had one guy who actually lost his character. He got hacked. He was actually fully geared out and ready to run dungeons in 35 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, because everyone just pitched together, and it's funny because it's so cute because
That's like World of Warcraft. No.
yeah, no, one person will say, "Hey, I need this," and then you have like 3 people like sending them stuff.
See, but that's awesome. Like you were talking about earlier, Sam. Like, oh, I'm kind of scared to go get into dungeons or whatever. Like, I don't feel like I'm good enough. Like, hey guys, I need a little more gear to get into dungeons, and here you go.
And you have it. You'll have it. Now, they don't just do it for you. You still got to do the legwork. You got to go get the match. You got to send them stuff.
Yeah.
But they'll do it. You know, just about every day or so, I'll have 2 people talking about it in chat, and I'll send them down to another channel to work it out. And they meet at the crafting station, and they go back and forth for a while. You know, and it works. It works really well. So please, crafted gear is your best start. And then once you get into the adventures, and then once you get into dungeons, you know, most of us are even still using crafted pieces. You were three deep into our attunement. We're still using crafted pieces. They've got good stat spreads. They can be tailored. You know, they can be customized to what you want as a player. So, really good way.
Okay, awesome. There you go, Wendell. That's how you're gonna do it. Well, first we got to get Wendell into his first dungeon. So.
Yeah.
You haven't done one yet?
No, he hasn't done one yet.
No.
I just need to hop in and be like, Wendell, one night, just get in there. It's gonna be so easy because everyone's level 50, and so you're gonna jump into a level 20.
Have him do Storm Talon.
Yeah,
It's
do
easy.
Storm Talon.
Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, just stand around and see all the red stuff. Unless there's a red circle that's following you, bring it to the dude.
Yeah.
Even level 20 Storm Talon's an eye opener.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
You realize how hard everything is.
Like Gandhi and Gandamel and Kazan are talking about the vet adventures. I mean ship hands. Excuse me. We're all waiting for that. The vet ship hands aren't in game right now. For those, I mean, I'm assuming everybody knows what a ship hand is, even Wendell. It's the little solo instance you go into.
Yeah.
They were supposed to have veteran versions of them for level 50s, but they did not make it into the game. So at launch, rather. So we are waiting on the word. They haven't actually said that they're going to be out yet. So we're waiting on that. Ship hands are fun, man. They are a good break.
No, I actually like them. Like they're fun little stories. They're little, even though they're not called adventures, little fun adventures or whatever. Like it's your own personal adventure.
And you can actually take people in with you. You know that, right?
Yeah. You can
take
take
people
people
in there, and it auto adjusts to the group size. So really cool.
Yeah, that's where I found that love worm in that first one on the.
Yep. Hold on. Didn't say spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Okay, sorry, Wendell. I know you haven't reached it yet.
No, I did that one.
You did that one, right?
Yeah, I died a lot.
Okay.
I was also doing it by myself, but I died a lot.
Did you find the worm that loves you?
Yes, I did.
You did?
I felt so loved. And then I killed it.
Oh, you killed it. How'd you kill it?
That means he didn't know. He didn't find it. He doesn't know what we're talking about. You can't kill him.
Yeah.
It's cute, though.
Are you sure? Because it wasn't the one where you go up in the ship and then you end up going down to the mine, through the mine, and to the worm at the very end?
Okay, after you kill the worm, where do you go?
Spoiler.
Oh, see, you thought it was the boss. You thought it was the boss.
Yes.
Maybe I did, because it just said I was basically done. I took the ship back
Okay, when next time you could go do it again, just random if you want to see the little thing. Don't you get an achievement for it or something too?
You do.
Yeah, after you kill the boss, there's stairs. They're kind of like blocked by rocks or whatever, but you can go up these stairs and it goes into this like little cove or cave or whatever. And there's a little worm there. And what do you have to do?
Right click him.
Just right click him. And
originally you had to /hug him, but now you just right click.
Okay, now you just right click him. You used to have to hug him, but then he just follows you around and there's all these hearts following him.
Oh, apparently I missed that.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the giant super worm.
No. There's a tiny worm that loves you.
Oh, okay.
You're missing out, Wendell.
I apparently am. I have to go back now.
Okay. All right. And so then we'll talk about this on the next cast, but talking about content release, they're already talking about their next content patch, right?
Yep.
Now, isn't there supposed to be a trifecta, PvE, PvP, and then what was the next one?
Raids and Dungeons.
Raids and Dungeons.
And that's what's coming out. And I'm going to tell you, quick preview, the dungeon's name is the Protostar Games.
Oh, okay. It's going to be...
And I haven't been in there yet because I've been afraid to go to the PTR last week or so. But it's supposedly really fun. And now it is a gimmick instance. For those of you who played WoW, it's very similar in gimmickness to that arena that they gave at the end of at the end of Wrath of the Lich King.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yep.
So
I don't remember the name.
Like you run the horses and you had to.
Yeah.
So it's gimmicky. It's going to be a lot of that stuff. The name of the patch is Defiled.
But will you still get gear and everything off of it?
Yeah, it's a dungeon.
Okay.
And it's actually there's a vet mode too. The attunement's actually yeah, that's right. Trial of the Champion.
Yeah.
The attunement's actually going to change. Instead of saying get a silver in each veteran adventure, it'll say get a silver in 4 veteran adventures. So you can actually do any 4 of them to finish your attunement after the patch, rather than the 4 specific ones. Yeah, and then of course the new raid
so
is good.
Does that mean you can do the same one 4 times and then?
No. It does have to be 4 different.
Okay.
But
4 different.
You don't necessarily have to do KV, Stormtalon, SSM, and Skullcano. You can slide Protostar Games in there too.
Okay.
And then of course the new raid. We don't have a ton of information. It's an augmenter facility, so it will be Elden technology. But the story, how it fits into the trifecta of raids, is you have to go through this augmenter facility, then you get into the genetic archives, and then at the end of genetic archives, you actually go into the computer. Like Tron, you go into the datascape. So it does fit in. It's before genetic archives, but we're not sure if it's 10-man, 20-man. We're not sure the gear levels yet. There's a lot of stuff that's up in the air. I actually haven't seen much information about it. I'm not even sure if it's open on the PTR yet.
Okay.
I will actually be checking that out this week. So.
All right. Well, I'm sure in 2 weeks we'll have more to talk about on that. And then I'm sure by then we'll be talking about the 4th drop that's coming out or something.
Yeah, right?
It just seems like they keep on coming with it. Okay, anything else anyone wanted to add before we say goodbye to everybody?
Just check us out. Check Grievance out. If you're brand new to the cast, the information's at the bottom of the cast, and we'd be happy to have you.
Yeah. Wendell?
Not a whole lot. I think we want to congratulate FaZe.
Oh, FaZe was in chat, so congratulations, FaZe.
Yep.
On winning the housing contest?
He won the Exile housing contest.
Was that the gas station one, the car in the gas station?
Yeah, it was amazing. He built it completely from scratch. So FaZe, you did a great job.
So if we maybe in 2 weeks we'll have screenshots up for everybody to see, but apparently these are awesome and everyone needs to see them. So
awesome.
We'll make sure to have that up.
Now, were you on the judging panel, Rathia?
Was I? Yeah, actually, I wasn't able to enter. I would have won. No. I'm joking.
I'm sure that's Sam's specialty, right?
Now my question.
I just remember you saying you plop everything down and you're like, that's my house.
Pretty much everything I own is in my front yard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. Someone's gonna look at it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, right. It's modern art.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Do we have to call out the hoarders? If you got everything laying across the yard, are we gonna bring in hoarders?
No, I've got plenty of space between everything. It's all spread out.
Okay. That's what they all say.
It's true.
That's what they all say. Okay. Well, thank you, Rathia, for your first cast.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
We'll have more to talk about in 2 weeks. Wendell, maybe you'll be level 21 in 2 weeks?
I'm hoping for more like 25, but we'll see.
25? Okay, yeah. Maybe get a dungeon in there.
Wendell,
like
we
to.
do have an exile contest where the officers are making Dominion characters. Maybe we can come help you out with that.
Now, okay, I gotta ask here. What's this contest that you're making Dominion characters? I'm curious to see what this contest is.
So the character contest is that officers are making Dominion characters on our server, and then our guildies get to come and kill us for prizes, for fun.
Okay, for prize, you guys are gonna be like, what is it? I don't want not Hunger Games, but
It's the officer game.
It's the
Yeah, I don't
officer
know,
game.
yeah.
Officer games.
Yeah, if you ever wanted
Like
to
a
kill like
manhunt.
Sam, then now is your chance to come and do it.
Okay. Everybody wants to kill Sam. Go kill Sam. Okay. Well, thank you, Sam, for all your information and your wonderful knowledge. And your what did you call your
Law of the code.
yeah, law? What was it?
My what?
Your progression law.
Oh, the law of the process.
Law of the process.
There you go.
The law of the process. Sam, I am. All right. Once again, everybody, thanks for watching. Make sure to follow us here on Twitch. Just click the little follow button. You can also go to our YouTube channel. It's Grievance Gaming. Yes, Grievance Gaming. Follow us on Twitter at Grievance Gaming. You can follow me at Dashivah or any of these other ones who are on Twitter. Anybody here on Twitter? No?